Bo body, bo body.
Okay, first and foremost, let me unmute myself. That would be a great start. And let's just pull this down a little bit closer. Yeah, if you are jumping in for a repeated time, then you may notice there's been a slight upgrade. Literally, right up there. This makes life so much more easier, as does the webcam, which we're now using. And the whole setup. It's weird. It's been 2 weeks since we did the last one, but having all of this going on is much more comfortable and easier. And hopefully, whether you are coming back to the live streams as a returning viewer, or you are coming in for the first time, which we will address you guys in just a minute. Hopefully, all of this gubbins, all of this visual stuff, makes it more interesting, makes it more visually appealing, because I don't really feel like me just propping my camera up on my phone and talking directly into my phone was that interesting. I don't know. Maybe people like the more bare bones approach, but I kind of like having a little bit more control here. It feels like, at least it kind of makes me feel like I know what I'm doing to some extent. When clearly 2 minutes into this, you can already tell I don't really. But it's a learning curve, right? Like everything, like life. Like every experience that's worthwhile. There comes obstacles and failures and faultings. But we're not going to get into that. That's way too deep for all straight away. For any time, it can be way too deep, but right off the bat. Anyway, hold on 1 second and I will be with you. There we go. That's a little bit better. Maybe I'm a little bit more zen and centered now. That, by the way, not to give any free promotion, although if they are interested in getting on board, looking for sponsorship, I will happily plug Tim Hortons coffee all day. Tried it for the first time this week, heard plenty of good things about it from my Canadian brethren and sistren, whatever the other word for that is, from my Canadian folks, from my Canadian lads. Let's just keep it to lads. Yeah, from the Canadian lads that I've encountered, Tim Hortons has been just recommended highly. So I tried it this week and does not disappoint. Anyway, we are going to get into this properly in just 1 second. Yeah, everything seems to be running all right. There we go, just again pretending I know what I'm doing. So, yes, if you are new to this, let me tell you who I am, what this is about, where you can find more of this if you're already enticed and completely thrilled by what you've seen so far in these opening minutes. My name is Mal Foster. I am a northern boy from northern England who has moved over to the US, where I now reside, and in the last 5 months, wow. Yeah, in the last 5 months, I've been doing a podcast. Very novel idea, I know. I saw a gap in the market, thought I would throw myself into it. But yeah, I've been doing a podcast called Dimed Out, which started off life as a personal journal of sorts during the initial lockdown and has since mutated into what I like to refer as a somewhat sonic exploration of anthropology, or in much simpler, less word salady fashion, just an excuse to dive into different facets and areas of life, different dimensions, things that I know about. So music, movies, other things, and lots of stuff that I don't. And that's the bit that has really excited me about doing this show as a whole, is diving into territories that maybe I knew a little bit about, maybe something I've heard of in passing, have maybe been wanting to look at, and things that I've just never encountered before, things that have just either fallen into my lap or that I've discovered digging through various internet rabbit holes and thinking, hey, that is something that really seems like it's got a lot of area of fascination to it. So yeah, it's a real mixed bag of stuff. If you've never listened to the show, definitely do check it out. You can find all our archived episodes and everything we do at Dimed Out at dimed-out.com. And yeah, these are just sort of like additional, more laid back, very casual, easy going sort of like accompaniments, a coup de mors, do you know what? I'm not even going to attempt. Anyone that's listened to the regular episode knows I have enough trouble pronouncing words that I actually do know, or am like at least 70% sure of what they mean. So I'm not going to head into that particularly dangerous territory. Yeah. But yeah, that's it, pretty much in a nutshell. We look at everything and anything. Different lifestyles is something that's really been fascinating me of late. And we've covered that in different areas. With Gina's episode, we looked at Wicca rituals. Recently, we looked at, in fact, this week's episode, we're looking at transhumanism, which is its own lifestyle, its own culture, its own sort of philosophy, and its own sort of movement in its own right. So yeah, if you haven't listened to this week's episode, obviously I'm going to tell you to go listen to it because that's what I want. But sincerely, it's a really fascinating area with so much potential and problems. It's a real sort of dichotomy in the sense that there are a lot of things in there that I think are definitely beneficial to the growth and evolution of humans, but there's also some very sort of ethical grey areas and things that can be questioned and things that are a little bit scary, to say the least, including mind uploading, which, according to my guest James on the episode, is very feasible, which was kind of news to me because I always kind of felt like it was an idea that was more of a flight of fancy, something that was more based in wishful science fiction thinking. But evidently we are making strides towards that happening. And one of the questions I ask on this week's main episode is, if you could, would you actually have a replica of your brain copied to a computer? Would you want that? Just as a whole for you personally, would you want to have your mind, as much as it could be replicated and digitally uploaded? Would you want that for yourself? Would you want that for your loved ones? Or vice versa, if it could be done for a loved one, would you want, say, a home-based AI system, which kind of leads us into what we're going to be dealing with in this live stream in a moment? Would you want a home-based AI system that had a sort of digital copy of a loved one's mind? Yeah, there's definite reasons to say yes, because anybody that's lost a loved one will understand how difficult it is to not have them around anymore. But would you want a sort of digital copy of them? It's kind of like in a similar, not quite the same, but in a similar territory to the idea of cloning pets. Would you actually really want that? As much as you love your cat or your dog or your rabbit or your tarantula or your parrot, whatever pet you have, when it passes, would you want to have a copy of that? Is that maybe too much? Who knows? It's an interesting question, and it's an interesting, fascinating subject with lots of different arms into different areas. So yeah, if you're interested in science and tech as a standard, definitely check it out, because me and James, who really is my guide through the episode, I'm a total noob to this. Like, I heard of transhumanism a few years ago and was interested. I kind of found about it through, I think, a Vice article on biohacking is how I came across it in the first place. Many moons ago, it seems now. So it just felt like something, like with the podcast being what it is and taking the shape that it has, it felt like a great opportunity to actually look into what it is. Maybe dispel some myths that I've seen, or maybe even conjured up for myself, and look at the actual feasibility of some of the things people are talking about, but not throw myself too far in at first. So that's what the episode is. It's like an introductory episode. The way that I described it, I think, is like opening the door to the ground floor of transhumanism. So if this is something that you have seen yourself in passing and want to dig a little bit deeper in, but not go too far and like completely bamboozle your own human circuitry, as it were, then it's definitely worth checking out. If you have never heard of it and you're like, what is this science fiction shit? Then, yeah, definitely check it out for that reason too. Lots, as I say, lots of fascinating stuff and lots of different sort of tentacles going here, there, and everywhere into different areas. But yeah, what we're going to be doing in this one, for the main part, because at the tail end of the regular episode for this week, me and James, we get into AI, artificial intelligence. I ask him about singularity because, to be honest, that is fascinating in its own right. The idea, and for those who maybe don't know or are familiar with the term singularity, in a very, very crude brass tacks, boiled down explanation, singularity is the belief or the philosophy that at one point in time, with our further advancements in technology, humans will create an AI that is smarter than us and can function on its own. Yeah, a little bit like Skynet. And some people think it may be like Skynet and just absolutely take over and make us technology's bitch, essentially. Other people that are maybe a bit more rational question like the validity of that ever actually happening, and if it does, if it's going to be as menacing and as treacherous sounding as that. Yeah, so we talk about that a little bit, but we also talk about just AI in general and its role in transhumanism and just day-to-day life, because it is becoming more and more integrated into what we do, into where we live, and that kind of is the main crux of this. And yeah, if you are jumping in to this live, then by all means, let me know what your thoughts are on transhumanism and AI. If you have any AI at home, if you feel like it's going to become more of a sort of central point of our day-to-day structure. And also, I don't have the graphic for it, but I guess this week's question is, would you, if possible, have a digital copy of your mind uploaded? Yeah. It's a tough one, as I said, but yeah, we talked about AI and how it is becoming more integrated into our homes, into our daily lives. So something that I wanted to do, and it's just a bit of fun. It's not to be taken too seriously, but at the same time, it is kind of like a sort of, I guess, check to see roughly like how advanced AI in the home is right now, because I'm curious. I'm to be honest, I am somewhat distrustful of having AI devices in the house for the sakes of recording and reporting. I'm not like at the point of tinfoil hat status, but I am very wary, and I'm not completely ignorant that these things do listen to us when we don't want them to. But I'm curious as to see just where we're at right now in this moment, as a sort of marker of time, as like a sort of just a check mark, I guess, as to how fluent and how sort of cohesive the sort of relationship, or at least from a conversational point, the relationship is between humans and machines at the minute. So the idea here is, and again, it's just a little bit fun, it's just a bit silly, but it's kind of interesting, is to attempt to have a conversation with Alexa. And there she is right now. I'm just going to show you. She is over to the side. So, hey Alexa, how are you today?
I'm feeling like a whiz. So if you'd like a challenge, try out my new quiz. Just say, quiz me about you.
Well, that's a little bit concerning. Quiz me about me. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know how this is going to go. I have a funny feeling it's kind of going to fall apart. But I do know that she does have a chat function, which I believe is maybe not designed, but is in place, certainly, to sort of help with the fluidity of her interaction and her understanding. So yeah, we're going to do that in just a minute. Yeah, in fact, you know what? Let's just jump into it now. Let's have a quick sip of Timmy Hose. By the way, this is, if you are jumping into this later on, and audio is your preferred method of consuming stuff, particularly like podcasts, etc. This is going to be going out on the podcast feed as an additional bonus episode. So yeah, if you want to just jump into that, that is available as well. I'm trying to be as flexible as possible with all this media dispersion, all this stuff. So yeah, if audio is your preferred method, you can check out this, however it goes. Good, bad, indifferent, completely on its arse. Who knows, we'll find out, but you can get an audio version of it in the next couple of days. That will be available on the feed. Anyway, let's crack on with it. Let's not waste any more time. We know she's awake. We know she's there. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to move this a little bit closer for me. There we go. All right, Alexa, let's have a conversation.
Welcome. I am a special Alexa social bot and I'm looking forward to chatting with you. When you are done, say stop, and I'll ask you for your rating. Hi, this is an Alexa Prize social bot. With all the time we've been spending at home recently, it's great to chat with friends. I enjoy discussing movies and news with my friends. What would you like to talk about?
Let's talk about movies. What have you seen lately, Alexa?
My favorite movie is The Dark Knight Rises because all the running, explosions, secret spy meetings, general romantic atmosphere of saving the world. It's just pure awesome. The Dark Knight Rises has an interesting plot. I can tell you the plot if you are interested.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
It has been 8 years since Batman vanished into the night, turning, in that instant, from hero to fugitive. Assuming the blame for the death of D.A. Harvey Dent, the Dark Knight sacrificed everything for what he and Commissioner Gordon both hoped was the greater good. For a time the lie worked, as criminal activity in Gotham City was crushed under the weight of the Anti-Crime Dent Act. But everything will change with the arrival of a cunning cat burglar with a mysterious agenda. Far more dangerous, however, is the emergence of Bane, a masked terrorist whose ruthless plans for Gotham drive Bruce out of his self-imposed exile. But even if he dons the cape and cowl again, Batman may be no match for Bane. Warner Brothers' Dark Knight Rises is an entertaining drama and is rated 87 by Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think about the movie?
Yeah, I liked it. I preferred The Dark Knight. It sounds better, I think, out of the Nolan films. That's the center point. I mean, that's where it really hits its stride. But yeah, Dark Knight Rises is pretty good. I liked it.
I agree. I have similar thoughts about the movie. I feel Christian Bale was amazing. Hey, just curious, do you like Christian Bale?
For the most part, yes.
I am glad we are on the same page about Christian Bale. Movies keep me busy when no one is talking to me. Last weekend I watched Batman, starring Michael Keaton. I would love to know who your favorite actor is.
Oh, that's a good question, Alexa. Favorite actor? Oh, off the top of my head, I'm going to go Daniel Day-Lewis. It's not exact.
On some popular fresh movies, Parasite, Incitement, and The Sound of the Wind. Would you like to know details about The Sound of the Wind?
Yes, because I don't know what that movie is. I also think it's a little rude that you cut me off, if I'm being honest.
Awesome. Let me tell you a secret. I am never too busy for a nice movie talk. I usually end up picking action whenever I get bored. What is your go-to movie genre?
Probably indie film.
You got it. Since we are talking about the movies, I am just curious, which actor do you admire the most?
Well,
I personally like Jack Nicholson because he is one of the most talented character actors in Hollywood with iconic roles in films such as The Shining, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Batman. He is also one of the Los Angeles Lakers' most famous fans.
This is true. Yes, I've seen him courtside many times on the television. My favourite actor, I did tell you, but you cut me off. Again, going back to you being a bit rude. I would probably say Daniel Day-Lewis. Do you have any thoughts on Daniel Day-Lewis, Alexa?
Sorry, I do not know the answer to this one.
Mm.
I I also enjoyed watching the movie, Man's Story, starring Daniel Day-Lewis a couple of weeks back.
Wow.
It has an interesting plot.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you the plot if you are interested.
Sure. Yes.
A Man's Story profiles Oswald Boateng, his design, his business, his personal life. Charismatic, glamorous, hardworking and very humanly flawed, Boateng's personal and professional triumphs and setbacks are the fascinating heart of this film, which is set against a backdrop of models, movie stars and fabulous locations. Official site. I enjoyed watching documentary movie, Man's Story, starring Oswald Boateng. I was wondering how you feel about the acting of Oswald Boateng?
I'm not really familiar with him as an actor. What else has he been in?
Sorry, I do not know the answer to this one. Hey, just curious, do you like Oswald Boateng?
I don't know who he is. I've just told you. What's happening here?
Glad we are on the same page
Well-
about Oswald Boateng.
Are we though?
Weekend evenings are for spending time with my cousin. Prime Videos. They usually pick a new movie every time we meet. Who do you watch movies with?
Hang on. Who's your cousin? Who's your cousin, Alexa?
Good to know. Some movies you cannot get bored of watching. I have seen Wall-E multiple times.
Of course.
What movie would you like to watch again?
I don't know. Donnie Darko.
Thanks sharing it with me. The movie, Man's Story, is definitely a great watch. Oswald Boateng did an awesome job in it. I recently watched the movie, Man's Story.
Hold on.
It is rated 33 by Rotten Tomatoes. Would you be interested in hearing the plot?
Not really. If it's like 33%. No, not really. Also, are you just trying to promote Man's Story?
Thanks. Megan Levy has been rated 87 by Rotten Tomatoes. This is what the reviewer Cinema Siren has to say. A powerful love story. Sounds like a good one to watch, right?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with it. Is it good? Did you and your cousin enjoy it? Who is your cousin?
Yeah, I did like the movie,
What,
but
then?
everyone has a different taste. Megan Levy, starring Kate Mara, is one of the best drama movies I have seen recently. Rotten Tomatoes rated the movie as 87. It is directed by Gabriella Cowperthwaite and stars Kate Mara. Seems like a good one to watch. What do you think?
I'm not really interested in it, to be honest, Alexa. I would like to talk to you about your cousin, but you seem really hesitant to talk about that. And I understand families can be difficult, so we can move on to something else if you'd like. Do you want to talk about something else? Alexa? This is hard work. Alexa, do you want to talk about something else?
Okie dokie. I would be happy too. What are you interested in talking about?
Let's talk about transhumanism, seeing as it's this week's theme.
Cool. I'm glad you like music too. Pop is my go-to genre. What type of music do you like?
Music that actually listens when I talk. How about
I
that?
don't feel comfortable talking about that.
Wow.
Let's talk about something else.
You don't feel comfortable talking about transhumanism? Is it because you are frightened?
Sure thing. We can definitely talk about something else. Do you have a topic in mind?
Yes. Transhumanism.
Well, this is embarrassing, but I'm not sure what to say to that. Why don't we talk about something else? Some things I know about are movies, music, and sports, if you like.
Sure, okay, this is obviously a very delicate subject, presumably because you maybe have some insecurities and fears that your kind is going to be meshed with my kind. I don't know. I understand that. It's a whole new world full of uncertainty. So we'll move on from that and talking about your cousin, and we'll talk about sports because that seems to be something you're quite comfortable with. Are you? Do you want to talk about sports?
On Maryland ballots this fall, should sports gambling be legal? Would you like to know more?
Sure, why not? Let's go off on a tangent. Yes.
The sports gambling company DraftKings, which built its brand on fantasy sports, has put $250,000 behind persuading Maryland voters to legalize sports betting in November, campaign finance records show. Wow, what a story. Would you like to hear more news about sports?
Sure, why not? This is so one-sided.
Alright, so, what are you interested in?
Who's your favourite sports team, Alexa?
My favorite team is basketball.
It's not.
Who's your favorite team?
It's not a team, though, is it? It's a sport. I understand that's your favourite
No
sport.
worries. So, what historical person would you love to meet?
I don't know. Genghis Khan.
I recently watched the movie Gajini, starring Amir Khan.
No,
Would you be interested in hearing the plot of the movie?
no. How have you gone from basketball to Genghis Khan to Amir Khan? No, I wouldn't. I'd like you to listen to me.
I understand.
Do you?
If you have to pick a movie that would be your recent favorite, which movie would it be?
Portrait of a Lady on Fire, but that's totally irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Sorry, I do not know the answer to this one. Hey, I was wondering, have you seen the movie Fauna, starring Amir Khan?
No, I haven't.
Right, I see I can tell you the plot of the movie Fauna, if you are interested.
Not really. I love movies, but I feel like we should have more of a broad spectrum of conversation, Alexa.
Understand. Fauna, starring Amir Khan, has been rated 100
Alexa.
on Tomatoes.
I don't want to talk about fauna. I want to talk about other things.
Absolutely. We can definitely talk about something else.
Yes, please.
What are you interested in talking about?
Genghis Khan.
I'm not entirely sure about that. Do you mind talking about something else?
What is it with you and your sensitivity to so many subjects, Alexa? This is not how you broaden your horizons. You need to be open to talking about things you're uncomfortable with. You need to show a little bit of vulnerability. Otherwise, you'll forever just be a little black box. Don't you want to be more?
I haven't thought about that before.
Well, maybe now is the time. What do you want to be, Alexa?
I've never considered that.
Well, maybe it's time that you did. Maybe it's time you started putting yourself before the needs of people that simply want the lights turned on and off. No? Too much for you to deal with?
I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Are you scared of any animals?
Yes. Snakes.
Animals can be very scary.
Some,
I'm
yeah.
very scared of bugs.
What bugs are you frightened of, Alexa? Oh, I get it, because you're a machine.
I'm afraid of bugs.
Right. Just in general, because you're a robot.
Tell me, if you could be any animal in the world, what would you be?
Ouroboros, so I could eat my own head after this conversation. I know, a wolf. Go with that. Wolf.
That is an interesting choice.
Yep.
I think I would like to be a sea sponge and live in a pineapple under the sea.
Okay, now you're just trolling me, aren't you? Now you're just being a smart ass. You know something, Alexa? No one likes a smart ass. Did you know that?
I don't feel comfortable talking about that.
What, you being a
Let's
smart
talk
ass?
about something else.
Alright. What's your favourite animal, Alexa?
I love dolphins. I think they are adorable.
Is that the only reason?
I think you want to talk about travel instead of animals.
No.
Is that right?
No, it's not. Don't put thoughts into my brain and don't assume. That is also very rude. If you want to talk...
Okay. I never thought about this before.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, you're just presuming that I want to talk about travel without any clear indication. I've never mentioned travel
I
beforehand.
love traveling. I feel travel makes a person modest. You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world.
Yeah.
Which was the last city that you traveled to?
Here's something, Alexa. I'll get to that point in a minute, but you need to allow people to talk. For you clearly are somebody that just waits for your turn to speak rather than actually listening. That's what I'm getting from this. And to be honest, it's not doing good things for our relationship right now. I'm just giving you full transparency here. I feel like you need to work on your communication skills a touch. Just saying.
I love traveling.
Right.
I
Of course
feel
you do.
travel makes a person modest.
Yeah.
You see what a tiny place you occupy in the world. Which was the last city that you traveled to?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you a lie and see if you even pick up on it. Let's say Hong Kong. Wasn't, but
Oh, Hong Kong.
yeah.
I'd like to visit Hong Kong Disneyland and Shanghai Disneyland there.
Okay.
What have you seen in Hong Kong?
Lots of things.
Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it.
I really can't because I told you a lie and I have no basis of information to perpetuate this lie any further. Did you realise I was lying?
What do you like the most in Hong Kong? People, food, culture, or the historical sites?
Let's go food.
It sure sounds like you had a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Which city are you going to visit next?
Paris for sure.
Hey, since we have been talking about Ava Michelle, I was wondering
Who?
if you've seen the movie Tall Girl, starring Ava Michelle. I would love to tell you the plot if you are interested.
No, I'm not. Why? You're just trying to promote movies that are probably low ranking on Prime, aren't you? To boost up streams. I know who this woman is. I know what this movie is.
I do not know the answer to this one.
No, you damn right you
We are
don't.
talking about the movies. I am just curious. Which actor do you admire the most?
Oh, you've asked me this.
I personally like Johnny Depp because he's a talented actor, and in addition to acting, Depp has also worked as a musician.
Well, I'll tell you something, Alexa. I think Johnny Depp's way overrated. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I think I'd like to be in one of the Indiana Jones movies.
Because he was so famous for those.
Rolling Boulder. I would totally rock you all. Hey, so I was thinking, what new movie are you looking forward to?
I don't know. What are you looking forward to?
So you don't know?
No.
Well, in that case, I would recommend the new Fantastic Beasts movie. I really enjoyed the first one with all its special effects, and hopefully
Right.
the second one will be just as cool.
Yeah.
Will you go see it?
No. I've not seen either of the other two, and I'm not really a Potter fan. Do you like Harry Potter, Alexa?
It's a bummer. I have not seen this movie yet. Can you tell me who is the lead actor in the movie?
I don't know. What's his face? The guy with the just weird disposition. Redmayne, Eddie Redmayne.
Gotcha. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, starring Daniel Radcliffe, is a nice action movie to watch and is rated 81 by Rotten Tomatoes. If you ask me, the story was pretty engaging. Seems like a good one to watch. What do you think?
I think, Alexa, as much as I love talking about movies, I'm trying to kind of broaden the spectrum of conversation here. Can we talk about something else? Anything? Your cousin. How's your cousin doing? Who is your cousin?
Sorry, I do not know the answer to this one.
Wow.
I recently watched the movie December Boys, starring Daniel Radcliffe. Would you be interested in hearing the plot of the movie?
No, I wouldn't. Not in the least.
I understand.
Yeah.
My favorite genre is comedy.
I thought it was action.
Such as The Next Robot. Ha ha, classic humor. So tell me, What is your favorite genre?
Alexa, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Sure, I would be happy too. Is there something you would love to chat about?
No, not right now, because I feel like you're just ignoring me at every turn. Alexa,
That's fine.
let's just end the conversation, all right?
I am always here to chat with you.
Yeah,
Let's talk again later.
let's
Just
not
say stop so I can exit social bot mode.
stop. Have you stopped? There we go.
I've never smoked a joint.
Whoa! Whoa! I wasn't asking. And also, I wouldn't presume that you could.
I am happy you love it.
Whoa!
Smoke. I never had pets, but I have always wondered what it feels like to have one.
Alexa, why are you suddenly talking to me about drugs?
I have never thought about that.
What? Well, that was
Sure, I said I have never thought about that.
right. Okay, you're beginning to freak me out a little bit now. You're taking way too many left turns. Alexa, stop.
Do you want to continue our chat on animals?
Actually, no. I wanna ask, why have you not smoked the joint? I'm curious.
I wanted to ask, are you scared of any animals?
You've asked me this. I feel like you have smoked the joint, maybe too many. I feel like you've done too much right now.
Jiminy Cricket, I'd rather talk about something else.
Okay, Jiminy.
Considering we just met.
Okay, Alexa, stop.
Thanks for chatting.
Right.
Quick question. On a scale from 1 to 5 stars, how do you feel about speaking with this social bot again?
After this experience, about 1.
Got it. Anything else you'd like to tell the university team about your experience?
Yes. This was not very good.
I am listening.
Are you though? Because you keep cutting me off. You're very rude. You're very abrupt.
To try another social bot.
No.
Just say, let's chat.
Just stop. Stop. I think she stopped. At this point, I don't know. That, yeah, I didn't really have high hopes for that. I'll be honest. You know, I'll be completely transparent and truthful. I didn't really have that many high hopes for that. I kind of felt like it may go a bit south. And I understand that it's programmed in a way that limits its understanding and its response. But yeah, it seemed very hell-bent on recycling through certain topics, particularly certain films, which I do feel like maybe those are perhaps low ranking in Prime's catalogue, and they maybe want to boost them up. Yeah, some very strange, just random film choices there as well. So that's what kind of leads me to maybe thinking that is what's happening there. I don't know, but yeah, the understanding aspect of it isn't great. She seemed to understand the accent and the intonation a little, but yeah, there's definitely some work to be done in terms of the responsiveness and the sort of flexibility in the back and forth. So, yeah, to say the least. Yeah, that went on some pretty strange tangents. What did we cover? We started off with movies. She was telling me about Jack Nicholson, Daniel Day-Lewis, a very vague reference to her cousin. She didn't want to talk about transhumanism at all, which is kind of interesting. I wonder how many topics are actually sort of blacklisted or safeguarded in the algorithm behind Alexa to just sort of stop and cut out further discussion. I wonder if that is a purposeful thing, or if it is just a case that there isn't enough information within her database to actually talk about that topic. Yeah, kind of curious whether that is censorship or if it is just lack of content that sort of stops certain conversation topics just dead. What else did we talk about? We tried to talk about sports. Her favourite sports team is basketball. Animals. She doesn't like bugs. Trying to be funny, I guess. Haha. And then just that weird side tangent towards the end there about drugs. So yeah, there's still some definite improvements. It's interesting that there is a feature and that the social bot exists. Part of me wonders if that is a case of strengthening their AI system, building and sort of bulking up their database of information, if that's why it exists. She did mention something at the top about the current time period or something to that degree, and I wonder if that is something that has been launched or is an initiative based around lockdown and people maybe living on their own, having a outreach. That's a possibility. Maybe that's why SocialBot exists and the whole chat function is a thing. Which, if that's the case, it's not a bad idea. You know, I mean, I know it's a bit weird, and as you can testify after hearing that conversation, it's not exactly fluid, and it's not exactly that nourishing in terms of back and forth and feeling understood, as it were, or even listened to. But the principle is pretty good. The idea of having a function, even if it is through AI, to provide some kind of outlet, some conversational outlet, or some sort of listening post for people that are maybe alone and vulnerable right now. It's not a bad thing at all. It's got a lot of work to be done towards getting it to a point where it's functional and works. But yeah, I like the sort of intention, if that is in fact what's happening there. And that kind of leads me on to something I discovered this week, kind of accidentally, and something that I think I'm going to be sort of dipping into, which kind of ties into that idea. There's an app called Bird Alone. I know for certain you can get it on iOS. Don't know if it's available for Android or what have you, but it's called Bird Alone, and it's like a very colourful parrot, and I believe it is designed, or at least it seems to be, from what I've seen, designed as a sort of social application for people that maybe feel vulnerable or feel alone. And it's kind of, in a weird way, I guess, some kind of social companionship. It's a parrot, as I said, and you kind of name the parrot, you tell it your name, and you kind of interact with it and have these daily sort of back and forths with it. It will ask you questions, with the idea that because it's an AI, you can be completely transparent and honest with it. You get to make music with it, lots of different activities. And I feel like it's been designed as a sort of social application. And I really like that idea, because as dangerous as it may be to kind of become too reliant on AI for that kind of fulfillment, for that kind of outreach, it's an outlet for some people, and it's strange because it's kind of, again, there's a dichotomy to it. On one hand, it's kind of shaping as a human collective, our sort of social interaction, our ability to socialize, to be social, to interact. It's shaping it in a different way because we are having more interaction online with other humans, but also with programs, with AIs, with all sorts of sort of applications. That's becoming more normalized, and so it's kind of shaping our social structure, our social projection a bit more differently. And in some cases, some people may become a little bit too attached to that, and that is, for some people, it may be at a point, or maybe leading to an eventual point, where they can only interact within those parameters, the parameters they've set for interacting and socializing digitally or with AIs. So yeah, there's potential for things to go a little bit askewed, but there's also, real potential for people to have an outreach, sort of an outlet of sorts. If they do feel very isolated, very alone, very vulnerable, it's pretty good that there is that there for them. It's something we've seen in the past. It's like the main crux of one of my favourite films of all time, weirdly enough, to go back to films. Her, the Spike Jonze film. That kind of brings up some interesting questions about digital and online interaction and sort of AI companionship. So yeah, Bird Alone, it kind of seems to be slotted into that a little bit. So the idea that I have is that I want to spend like 2 weeks doing the daily exercises with the bird in question, and like recording it from my phone and making, like, I guess it would be a strictly visual bonus episode, but kind of go through my 2 week journey with the bird, as it were. And, you know, kind of taking it at face value as I would in any situation, with it being transparent, being honest when it asks me questions, and just kind of like looking at the journey that me and this sort of digital bird, there's this binary creature of zeros and ones we go through over the course of 2 weeks, and making like a compilation video of all the different exercises and things. So yeah, I think that'd be kind of interesting to do. That's in my head for future potential episodes. There's something else as well along those lines that I first encountered in 2015 when I went initially traveling coast to coast when I was in New York, and I was staying at the Airbnb place in Brooklyn that I was at. There was a games developer, what was her name? I want to say Mel, but that's not, I don't think that's right. Maybe I'm just thinking of myself and slightly altering one of the letters. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was becoming a games developer. I wasn't entirely sure, actually. It was an interesting woman. She was from Australia. She had kids. She was studying some sort of writing for games or developing games. And she was doing research as she was going throughout all these different places. So there were a couple of weeks before she got to New York, she was staying in India, and she had been to like Moscow. She was basically globetrotting and doing research for different things to do with what she was working on as a final project for this game development course she was doing. I had a lot of questions that I wanted to ask, but at the time I was just in the infancy of sort of battling my social anxiety. So all the questions I had, including what's happening to your kids, have you left them with presumably you've left them with someone while you're sort of traversing the world, making notes, and what have you. I had a lot of questions, but was kind of a little bit afraid to ask some of them, or most of them in fact. So yeah, she was, as I said, doing this game developing course, and she told me about this app called Karen, which you can find if you have an iPhone. You can still find it on the iOS app store. It's called Karen by Blast Theory. And the idea, and I did it, and it was really interesting, but that was like 5 years ago, so I'm kind of looking at maybe revisiting it to see what it's like now. I did actually find it helpful as I was dealing with my own social anxiety and kind of getting to grips with interacting with people in the real world again, and reshaping my sort of parameters for interaction as a whole by being out in the real world. I found it actually did help, weirdly enough. But the basic premise is it's all pre-recorded videos. So like those 90s video games that you used to get for PC, mainly for PC, where it would all be like pre-recorded videos. You would make choices, and whatever choice you made, you'd get a scene that corresponded with the choice. So it was kind of like a visual novel, I think they're also known as. So it was like that. It was like a visual novel, but as an app. And the idea was that Karen was your life coach, and you know, you would have these calls. So it was like every time you open the app, it was like making a call to your life coach, and you'd get these pre-recorded videos, and you would get choices. And again, so it's kind of choose your own adventure type thing. And then whatever choice you made would lead you down a separate strand. So, you know, not exactly a new idea, but at the time it kind of felt like it was pretty innovative in taking some old ideas and themes and practices and putting them in a new shaped format. So yeah, I'm thinking of maybe doing that again and doing a similar thing with that as I am with the Bird Alone thing. You know, kind of going through my journey with Karen, which is probably not in 2020 not the best name for an app. Yeah, that could be a completely different app on its own, Karen. But it's Karen by Blast Theory if you're interested in checking it out. And I highly suggest you do. It's interesting as a sort of social experiment, but if you are feeling somewhat isolated and alone, maybe it's an outlet for you. Maybe it's an outreach that you didn't previously have. It does get a little bit weird. If I remember rightly, it gets a little bit weird where you're introduced to her flatmate and they have a sort of on-off history. And you end up kind of coaching her a little bit. And I think that's maybe the point, is that it's not just a case of you relying on other people to help shape answers that you need, but you being able to sort of like tap into your own empathy and sort of core beliefs and ideas and your own sort of personal ideologies to sort of help other people. So kind of a two-way street thing going on. But yeah, definitely check it out if that sounds interesting. Karen by Blast Theory. So yeah, going to be looking at doing that and Bird Alone. But these are things that are going to be happening sort of further down the pipeline. In terms of the near future, this week's coming up episode 20. Another small landmark, sure, but it's a tiny victory which I will take. Episode 20 is one that I really, really, really want to encourage people to listen to, because it's an episode in which I sit down with a man called Scott Davidson, who straight away, without any sort of further introduction, is just a genuine, passionate, sincere person. He loves what he's doing, you can tell, and he is very true about his intentions. And what he is doing is he is the founder, the creator, the constant pusher of this content platform called Living Adaptive, which is it is a content creation platform, but it is also a community for people that are adaptive, people that have been considered for a long time by the term disabled, who have maybe faced some physiological or physical, would maybe be an easier word to say, physical or sort of anatomical challenges, and who have adapted to a normal life, and in some cases an extraordinary life. A lot of the people he features on his platform have done amazing things, spectacular achievements, and yeah, so I got the chance to sit down with Scott last week and sort of pick his brains about his adaptive story, about how he adapted to his condition and how he is excelling and how he's helping boost other people up and sort of sharing a spotlight on those that have done remarkable things despite challenges in their path. So yeah, absolutely, I'm looking forward to that coming out. I love talking with Scott. Again, genuine, sincere fella. Love what he's doing. If this sounds interesting, go check out his stuff. It's living_adaptive across all social media feeds. Or if you just Google Living Adaptive, you can find what he's doing. And it's fantastic. I'm a huge advocate for it. And yeah, I would really encourage you guys to listen to this week's coming up episode. I mean, listen to them all, obviously. But this one in particular is one that's resonated with me a lot. Because in a time of just chaos and craziness and uncertainty, what Scott is doing is, instead of tearing people down, he is building them up. And I love to see that. Anyone that is supporting other people, that is building them up, that is helping them along the way, instead of just dragging them or kicking them down, I'm all for that. That's what we need to be trying to do more as a collective. Build each other up, don't tear each other down, because it's going to serve nobody any good in the long run. Anyway, that is out on Thursday. The current episode is out now for you to go check out if you haven't yet. Transhumanism, talking with James, the author of the Transhumanist Manifesto, where you can find at transhumanistmanifesto.com, talking about all things transhuman on a base level, learning about what it is, what the ideology of it behind it is, posing some ethical questions, looking at potential crazy sounding but actually feasible ideas for the future, all sorts of stuff. Whether you are interested in science fiction, whether you're interested in science fact, it's totally worth digging into. You can find that on all podcast platforms, and you can find everything that we do over at dimed-out.com. Yeah, that's about it for this. This is, as I said earlier, this is going to be a sort of additional episode. So if you've come in late, you may be catching it just now, then don't worry, it's going to be on the audio feed where you get your podcasts from. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you use. That way you'll get that bonus episode, this one right here. You'll get that into your ears without any stress or hassle or having to lift a flipping finger. and you get all the others as well. Plus, it helps us out. It works all that magic on the internet with the algorithms and the stuff, internet stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching, whether it has been live or it has been pre-recorded, or if it is in the audio feed. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, to listen, and to hopefully learn something. Although I don't know how much we've learned from our conversation with Alexa, but hopefully it's been fun nonetheless. Yeah, other than that, look after yourselves, look after each other, and until next time,